The concept of the 7 years of tribulation comes primarily from interpretations of biblical prophecy, particularly in the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation. It refers to a period of intense suffering, hardship, and divine judgment that will take place in the last days, according to many Christian eschatological, end-time, views. The tribulation is widely discussed in premillennial dispensationalism, a popular framework for interpreting end-times prophecy, but the specific interpretation and timeline can vary among different Christian denominations. 1. Biblical basis for the tribulation. The primary sources for the idea of a 7-year tribulation are Daniel chapter 9 verse 24-27, the 70 weeks prophecy, which many believe points to the tribulation. The 70 weeks refer to 70 periods of 7 years, often interpreted as 490 years in total. The final week, the last 7 years, is considered to be the time of tribulation. Matthew chapter 24 verse 21-22. In Jesus' Olivet Discourse, he refers to a period of great tribulation, saying, "For then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again." This is often seen as a reference to the tribulation. Revelation chapter 6:19. The book of Revelation, particularly in the sections detailing the seals, trumpets, and bowls, describes a series of judgments that occur during the end times. The events described are often associated with the tribulation period. 2. The 70th week of Daniel, Daniel chapter 9 verse 27, the 70th week of Daniel's prophecy is the core biblical basis for the 7-year tribulation. Here's the context. Daniel's 70 weeks prophecy. The angel Gabriel tells Daniel that 70 weeks, or sevens, are determined for the Jewish people and the holy city of Jerusalem to bring about the end of sin, the establishment of righteousness, and the fulfillment of God's plan for Israel. The first 69 weeks, 483 years, are thought to have passed from the decree to rebuild Jerusalem, in the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, to the coming of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. The 70th week is the final 7 years, which is often linked with the tribulation. The covenant with the Antichrist. In Daniel chapter 9 verse 27, the prince who is to come, commonly interpreted as the Antichrist, is said to confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, 7 years. This is the beginning of the tribulation period. In the middle of the week, the Antichrist is said to break the covenant and cause the abomination that causes desolation, a reference to a future desecration of the temple in Jerusalem, often linked to a literal or symbolic rebellion against God. 3. The nature of the tribulation. The tribulation is typically divided into 2 halves, each lasting 3.5 years, for a total of 7 years. This division is derived from the book of Revelation, which talks about 42 months, 3.5 years, and 1,260 days, 3.5 years, in several places, correlating these time periods to the tribulation. First half of the tribulation. The beginning of the tribulation is often seen as a time of relative peace and prosperity, when the Antichrist rises to power, forming alliances and establishing a global government. The Antichrist's covenant with Israel is believed to allow the rebuilding of the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. Many people believe this time will see a worldwide acceptance of the Antichrist as a political leader. Second half, the Great Tribulation. In the second half of the 7-year period, the Antichrist will break the covenant with Israel and demand worship, setting up what is called the abomination of desolation, Matthew chapter 24 verse 15. This is when the tribulation intensifies dramatically, with the rise of persecution, wars, natural disasters, and various judgments. 4. The judgments of God. The tribulation is marked by God's judgment on the world, as described in Revelation. The judgments unfold in a series of catastrophic events. The seal judgments, Revelation chapter 6. These are the first judgments, involving things like war, famine, death, and a great earthquake. The first 4 seals are the famous 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: conquest, war, famine, and death. The trumpet judgments, Revelation chapter 8-9. These judgments bring further natural disasters, such as hail and fire mixed with blood, a burning mountain thrown into the sea, and a plague of locusts. These judgments affect 1/3 of the Earth's population and ecosystem. The bowl judgments, Revelation chapter 16, these are the final and most severe judgments, resulting in painful sores, rivers turning to blood, scorching heat, darkness, and a great battle at Armageddon. 5. The role of the Antichrist. The Antichrist plays a central role in the tribulation. He is portrayed as a false messianic figure, a charismatic leader who deceives the world into following him. During the first half of the tribulation, he will appear as a peacemaker and a unifier, but by the middle of the 7 years, he will turn against Israel and the faithful, enforcing a global system of worship of himself and instituting intense persecution against those who refuse. The mark of the beast, Revelation chapter 13 verse 16-18, the Antichrist is said to institute a global economic system where people must take the mark of the beast, often interpreted as a form of identification, such as a number or a digital implant, to buy or sell goods. Refusing this mark is a sign of loyalty to God and results in severe persecution. 6. The role of Israel and the Church Israel. The tribulation period is also a time of judgment upon Israel, as God works to purify and restore his covenant people. Some interpret the tribulation as a time of Israel's testing and spiritual awakening, leading to the nation's eventual recognition of Jesus as the Messiah, Zechariah chapter 12 verse 10. The prophecy of the 70th week focuses particularly on Israel's role in the end times. The Church. Different Christian traditions have different views on the role of the Church during the tribulation. Pre-tribulationists believe that the Church will be raptured, taken up, before the tribulation begins. Mid-tribulationists and post-tribulationists believe the Church will either remain through part or all of the tribulation but will be protected by God during it. The rapture is often linked to the return of Jesus Christ, when the faithful will be taken up to meet him in the air. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 verse 16-17. 7. The end of the tribulation, the second coming and Armageddon. The tribulation ends with the second coming of Christ, when Jesus returns to defeat the Antichrist, the false prophet, and their followers at the Battle of Armageddon, Revelation chapter 19. Christ's return will mark the final judgment and the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. The Battle of Armageddon. At the end of the tribulation, the forces of evil, led by the Antichrist, will gather for a final confrontation against Christ's forces. Jesus will defeat them, and Satan will be bound for 1,000 years during the millennium, Revelation chapter 20. Conclusion. The 7 years of tribulation are viewed as a time of unparalleled hardship, divine judgment, and spiritual testing, culminating in the final victory of Christ over evil. This period serves as a transition from the current age to the establishment of God's eternal kingdom. While the details of the tribulation vary between different Christian traditions, the central themes of judgment, the rise of the Antichrist, and the ultimate triumph of God remain consistent. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please like and share it with your friends. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this.